Starting today, though, we're lucky to have Janet here, actually, because she's had quite a morning of it. Well, you had quite an evening of it,
yes,
and then quite a morning of it with your car.
Yeah, yesterday I drove from my house in Norfolk. I was driving along the motorway, and then suddenly there was a noise, clunk, 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 clunk. I hope I've done that accurately.
Yeah.
And I pulled over, and I thought the wheel was going to fall off, but then I gave it a little bit of a prod, and it was still there, and I couldn't see anything, so I got back in the car, and I continued driving at 70 miles an hour, clunk, 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 and eventually something fell off. I don't know what fell off, but it didn't stop me going.
Just ploughed on.
I ploughed on. And then after I'd finished doing this TV show last night, I drove home and it seemed all right. But when I got up this morning, I turned the key in the ignition and Nanny Car said to me, warning, warning, warning.
Nanny Car.
Nanny Car.
That's there to help you. It's to help you.
Nanny Car told me my front left tyre was flat, but luckily I managed to hobble round the corner to the tyre shop at the end of my road and tell them, could they please all be like Lewis Hamilton's support team and change the car so I could change the wheels so I could
Were the two connected? So whatever you heard going clunk, clunk, clunk and fell off, was that connected with you?
Well, take a look at the tyre. I've said, look, I drove...
God.
Whatever.
You drove with that.
I drove all the way.
That's on metal. That's what you could hear, the metal going
Very
round.
lightly could.
It does make me think, you know, the old cars that I used to have. I mentioned old bangers earlier, but I literally had... I never had a new car until I was, well, in my 30s probably. Couldn't afford them. I had some real old bangers, and I remember being at a junction once and going to pull out, you know, doing that, check, 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 pulled out, went to go into second gear, and the whole gear stick came off in my hand. I was literally like that. And I was just
at least you had a car with... I never learned how to do gears, so the word gear stick makes me have the equivalent of a menopausal, you know, anxiety moment. So I've never had a car with a gear stick, but
What did you have then?
I had a Daimler.
Oh, of course you did.
She had an automatic.
Well, I saw it in Minder. Look, there's my
nice.
car.
That's nice.
You can just imagine me behind the
scared
wheel,
to have
can't
that
you?
car.
Going down Piccadilly, but it was so hot to run, I had to have a crate of mineral water on the back. And luckily, once I broke down outside Fortnum and Mason's and someone rushed out with a crate of mineral water and helped me.
It would be
Of course they would for her.
What about you, Brenda?
My first car that I had, I will never forget, it was a lovely, well, I thought it was lovely Mazda 323. I used to call it Coogie. And I took it for, I don't know, but I took it for a car wash one day and, you know, the kids are in there. I went out, I got them some ice creams. I was like, sit there, because you were going through and just to keep them entertained. We're going through, and it's great, it's great. And then all of a sudden I heard, and I was like, it's going through, we're going through. Next minute, the roof came off, and it came off. That's how old my car was.
But it wasn't an automatic.
It wasn't an automatic. It was, but babe, the thing, when you go into a car wash, the thing come up, so I just had to stay there. And the roof came off, turned it into a convertible. We got wet like no one's business. Poor kids, they were babies. So I was just looking at them going, thank God they can't speak to tell me anything or say, Mummy, why are we so wet? What is going on with this car? I had to drive out with it with no roof.
Literally stick our cars together. You know, if you had rust, I remember getting, like, masking tape. If anything broke, you couldn't afford to take it to the garage at the time, could you?
I had an old Mini that if you went over 40, the bonnet flew up. But I didn't... It was like that, yeah, but I didn't tell my sister when she drove it on the motorway.
And the bonnet flew up on the motorway?
bonnet flew up, yeah. She went, the bonnet. And I went, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you can't go over 40.
Well, can we change the subject? Because obviously I find it a bit embarrassing not to have noticed